We're going to have to come up with answers that set politics aside.
Hey, this is Clement G from Tennessee. I'm here representing Nashville Peacemakers, Mothers Over Murder, Straight Talk, Bulletproof. They don't hear us.
They don't hear us.
A man, black father, a son, an uncle, a nephew, a cousin. They don't hear us.
They don't listen. They don't hear us. They not listening.
They don't hear us.
And we're gonna bring you some stuff that's gonna make you feel better. They don't hear us.
I keep telling them, but they ain't listening, bro.
Hello, my name is Amana Sera. I'm from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and they don't hear us. Yo pas nous. That's it.
They don't hear us. Get together. Stop killing.
Good evening, everyone. And how are you today? Well, we are here with They Don't Hear Us. And my name is Sheryl Huff, and I am the president of Middle Tennessee National Action Network. And we are here, we have a treat for you all today. We are here with a special guest, and her name is?
Robin Kimbrough-Hayes.
What's your title?
I am Judge Robin Kimbrough-Hayes, General Sessions Court, Division 5.
Okay, so we're just gonna sit back and we're just gonna talk about what got you started and what did you do before you became a judge, and just bless us with your knowledge.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Madam Sheryl, for allowing me to share in this forum with you this evening, and to share information about myself and what I do, and hopefully some things that will help the community you serve. Like I said, I'm a General Sessions Court judge, and I wasn't always a General Sessions Court judge. I am bivocational. I'm an attorney, and I'm also a chaplain.
Okay.
And so I have different sets of skills that I bring to this office. I served as chaplain and special advisor to the president at Meharry Medical College for 10 plus years. And I spent the bulk of my legal career as legal counsel for the Tennessee Coalition to End Domestic and Sexual Violence. So as the legal counsel, I participated in writing legislation having an impact on victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. I provided technical assistance all across the state on domestic violence and sexual assault issues, trained judges, advocates, doctors, lay folks on this issue of domestic violence, and still, even in my world now, I'm working on a lot with domestic violence. So yeah, and before all of that, I worked for the Attorney General's office. I worked for the Criminal Justice Division, so I handle appeals on behalf of the state for the Middle, East, and Western districts. And I entered into the private practice of law, and so that was my first brush with General Sessions Court, which is the court I'm in now, and just always had a passion to serve. And to work with underserved communities, communities that are often without a voice and are often faced with oppression in the form of discrimination, or they don't have all the privileges some groups do. So that's what I'm really passionate about, is balancing those scales for everybody, because justice for all should mean justice for all.
Right. So, so I want to talk with you a little bit about domestic violence, because that is something that's really serious out here. And how can you determine whether a case is actually a domestic violence, or it's I mad at you, you done moved on, and now I'm gonna get you in trouble, and I'm gonna do this? And how
That's a really good question.
Yes, because I have a lot of phone calls about that.
That's a really good question. So being a judge and looking at domestic violence issues is very different than on the advocacy side of domestic violence. So in Davidson County, and I think your show will reach other folks too, but there are a lot of places around our country that have domestic violence courts. And Davidson County has 3 domestic violence judges in our domestic violence court, and those judges hear cases that involve intimate partner violence, including order protections. So I hear the order protections, and I do run into, I'm having to make those hard decisions and looking at the evidence and the testimony and proof to determine whether it's appropriate to have the order of protection. So I will say that all of the judges, that we do look at everything to determine whether an order of protection is appropriate in this case, and try to slice and dice to make sure that we're dealing with a situation that the order of protection was designed to handle. And so that's not always easy, because a lot of those cases, people come in without lawyers, and they're coming in with cell phone videos, screenshots of text messages, and things like that. And it's really not easy in most cases to determine whether this situation is a fit for the order of protection. So you're exactly right. It's an excellent question, because it's something that, you know, as a judge, you know, I'm always wrestling with. You know, I was telling somebody just the other day that, yeah, it's easier to be on that advocacy side because you look at it through one lens. And boy, 10 years I was looking at it through that one lens, but as a judge, you can't. You have to look at it through the lens of the law, and you have to make sure that you're being fair to the person who's bringing the action and the person against whom the action is taken. So, yeah, that's a great question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we get a lot of those calls.
It's a tough job.
Oh, yes, yes. So as an attorney, put on the other hat, when you have those cases that come in your office and the young man said, it's not true, I didn't do it, and you work on their behalf, and the lady says, it did happen, this is true, and I'm afraid. But then you have to determine whether you're going to represent this person or not represent this person. And if you do, then he gets off, and then something really bad happens. Or if the woman says, well, it wasn't true, and we getting back together and everything's fine. So how do you balance that when you were an attorney?
Okay, that's a really good question. So fortunately for me, I hope I didn't break anything here. Fortunately for me, fortunately for me, I didn't have to represent a lot of situations. I wasn't in a lot of those situations because I was more on the advocacy and policy side. But when I was doing some appointed cases, this was in the latter part of COVID, I was taking appointments, and I did domestic cases where I was a defense attorney for persons who were accused of domestic violence. So what I did find was a lot of victims did not prosecute the cases, so they wouldn't show up to court. For me, especially since I had the background that I did, I was always have come to Jesus meetings with my clients to let them know that, you know, don't go around the person, don't do this or don't do that. Also, if given the opportunity, you know, making sure that both parties understand the safety concerns in the case. I did have one case, and kind of getting to what you're talking about, you're asking some really good questions. I did represent a woman who was accused of domestic assault. And because of my background, working with domestic violence victims for the coalition, I got the sense that she indeed was the victim. And it turned out that she was the victim. And because I was able to ask these questions when I first interviewed her, there was some disclosures about recent abuse. And eventually her charges were dropped, and the person that did these things to her was arrested. And it was it was severe domestic violence that could have killed her. And so I'm grateful that on the defense side that I was able to bring that context to that work. But you're hitting on something that's very, very, very important, and that's why it's important to balance these scales. Is that we've got, as a judge, you got to look through both lenses, and you got to balance what you're hearing with what the law says. And I think as a judge, you can make sure that even if a person seeking an order of protection, this is on my docket because I don't handle the other, may not have been able to prove their case, but you sense that there were those power and control issues, you can kind of lay down the law with this other person. And I always encourage persons, if you didn't get your order of protection this time, come back because you might be in a better position on the next time. And it's good that there are other resources out there for victims, and there are resources out there for persons who have been accused or convicted of perpetrating domestic violence, like batters intervention programs. And so I'll tell you more about those. We're always looking for batters intervention programs to be certified by the Domestic Violence State Coordinating Council, and they work with batter accountability. So there are programs out there for batterers, and of course there are domestic violence programs out there for petitioners. So I think it's a really hard job, but the law tells us what we need to look at when we're trying to decide whether it's appropriate case for an order of protection. And so I do have that slice of it. The other judges have the other slice of it. But yeah, it is tough. You want to weigh the interest properly, and you want to do so in a manner that's fair, and you want to do so in a manner that's impartial. But like I said, as a lawyer, having that background, it really gave me an edge to work with somebody who definitely did what they did, or to work with somebody who was falsely accused of what they did, and I could help navigate that and figure that piece out. I had a case where a woman had, she had multiple mental health diagnoses and different things going on with her, and she definitely did some things maybe she should not have done, but I think it was related to the mental health. And I think her intimate partner actually used her mental health as a tool to take power and control over her. And so I don't think I would have figured that out had I not had the background that I had.
Oh, okay, that's good.
That's in the lawyer capacity. And then I had a good judge in that case who was helping sort through those issues as well, and understand those dynamics, and the district attorney, because the district attorney has really the say-so in the case. So I think as a team, we were working on the safety issues for the intimate partner that was involved, even though that person had some power and control over this person, but we were trying to work this situation out to make sure the safety needs were met, that there was accountability, and to make sure that this person was getting on track what they need to support their mental health.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, and I know my listening audience will love that information. So I want to talk about, on the other hand, is you put the other hat on as a judge. So I do a lot of court watch. And so I came in the courtroom, and the judge was talking to a young lady that was, the landlord wanted to evict her. And so you was like, if you move out at this time, and then it won't go on your record, where you'll be able to find some place else to stay, but you have to make sure you pay her what she asked for and stuff. And I think that was really good, because you actually helped this lady to get what she needed. And I mean, when you said passion, I saw all of that, and I appreciate that when you did that, because a lot of people are being evicted, and evicted, and then they don't know that they have fines and they have to pay this and that. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I love to.
Yes.
I would say doing evictions is one of the toughest things I have to do on the bench, because we're in a housing crisis no matter where you live. People are losing their housing, and they're losing their housing because they've lost their jobs to COVID. They've lost their jobs because they might be experiencing trauma from going through COVID, and the economy and so many things have caused people to have adjustments in their income, and as a result, they're losing their housing. So in Tennessee, where most counties are under the Landlord-Tenant Act, and so if you don't pay your rent within a certain amount of time, the landlord only has to give 14 days notice for the person to evict. And one thing that tenants need to look out for is that in the contract, sometimes that notice is waived. That when you don't pay your rent after that grace period, they can go ahead and start with eviction proceedings. When a person is granted an eviction, a landlord, the judgment doesn't come final until 10 days. The order doesn't become final within 10 days, and the person can appeal the order. But there are certain requirements to appeal. What the landlord really wants is access to the property, and they want quick possession of it. The judgment may delay possession of it. So with those interests in mind, and the fact that an eviction could cause more problems for this person coming in, I tried to offer them, and I hate to even ask this question, but I know it will help them, give them 10 days to leave. So usually that's on my 1A docket, so by the time I roll around to my next civil docket, that 10 days is up. And it has helped people. It hasn't helped everybody, but I see people have vacated and have gone on about their business, and cases have been, non-suited. That means the person, the landlord has withdrawn the case. It saves people money because when you get a judgment on an eviction and damages are attached, that means things that are damaged to the apartment and late rents. If the judgment is completed, the 10 days and the judgment is approved, the landlord can issue what is called a writ of restitution and have the sheriff to move the person out. Also, those judgments accrue interest. They include attorney fees. They also include cost. And so you may say, I only owe $2,000. Then you say, how did this balloon to $5,000? So it doesn't stop there. Because now there's another law that kicks in, the debt collection law. So now, this leads to garnishments and slow pays, and if it's not handled like from that beginning, it can just become a snowball of financial problems for the tenant. So this is so important to try to get a hold of this as soon as possible. Check your credit report. Always show up to court. Even if you think the landlord has taken care of the business, just go ahead and show up because it's your business. Go ahead and take care of it. If you miss court, if you're going to run late for court, if you're going to miss court, and no matter where you're showing this program, it applies. Call the clerk's office. All you do is call your local clerk's office and let them know you're going to be late, or you're not going to be able to show up, or if you put the clerk on notice, they will let the court know, and your case won't be defaulted. Because if your case is defaulted, that means the person can get everything they've asked for, and you won't really have a say in it at that point. So it's important to show up to court, whether it's for whether you think everything is okay. Show up anyhow, because it may not be okay. Because nobody cares about your business as much as you want to care about your business. because I see a lot of this, people don't show up to court, and these debts are just accumulating. And even if you're afraid, a lot of people are afraid to show up because they're afraid of the debt, and they're afraid of what the apartment people are going to say, or the landlord's going to say, or they're afraid of the judge. But I just want to encourage people to come to court. It is just so imperative. Like, I'm a praying woman, and I'm praying every morning, Lord, please let everybody show up to court today, because, and I get delighted when I see a full courtroom. That means that hopefully a lot of the docket will be there. When you show up to court, it improves outcomes, whether you're on the criminal side or the civil side. Because on the civil side, you may be able to work out a deal.
Right.
You may be able to delay some things or work out a payment plan. You know, I've been in cases where people have worked out payment plans.
Right.
They get a continuance maybe for 30 days, and then they're able to chip away at this debt. I was on another case where the debt was one thing, they reduced it really low, and they're giving this person a chance to pay it off. So it is so important to come to court. I know another person, they had their interest frozen, so they didn't. They were here with this debt. They didn't have to worry about interest. And you'll just be surprised at what might happen. I don't care if it's criminal, a debt collection, civil, or an eviction situation. I know it can be scary. Or a traffic ticket.
Right.
I have people that don't show up for traffic tickets, and traffic tickets and snowball. Now, I'm a witness, because when I first started practicing law, I was driving down to court, trying to park here, park there, and I was struggling. I wasn't no rich lawyer like you see on television. I was a struggling lawyer. And I had accumulated a lot of tickets, and the sheriff's office called me and said, you need to pay these or we're going to issue a warrant. So I know how it is to try to duck and dodge these tickets, because you can't afford them, and you're forgetting about them because you're dealing with life. I just encourage you to show up to those tickets, to anything at court. And if you're ever late or you miss court, just call and let somebody know. I think people have this image that the world's going to end, or I'm going to go to jail or something like that. That's not true necessarily. Because if you don't show up on a criminal case, you risk what is called a failure to appear. And they will issue a warrant out for you for that. But even that can be set aside.
Right.
All you have to do is come into court and get it set aside. And it doesn't matter how long. So I'm going to put a plug in for Safe Surrender. It's coming up December 8th and 9th. And that's going to be a time if you got some outstanding traffic tickets. I think Clerk Day is going to be there too this year. So I think they're going to be taking care of outstanding traffic tickets and outstanding warrants at Safe Surrender. So
we were there last year when they did it, and before, and I just want you all to know, before you go into the building, I asked, what are you here for, to make sure that if you do have this warrant and you from out of state, then you cannot get anything taken away. And if you walk in that door, then you on your own. But so I make sure and just talk with them on that. But can you tell them how important it is when they come into that courtroom, they have to have an attorney, no matter, you cannot come in the courtroom saying, I'm gonna represent myself. We have a lot of people that come in pro se, and I understand attorneys are expensive, but like one judge said, if you had appendicitis, would you operate on yourself? Of course you wouldn't. People come in all the time without lawyers. We had a woman to come in. She had accomplished so far on her own, had done a good job, and she had gotten to the top of the food chain, ready to take the judgment, but they stopped her because she missed one important step. One important step, and big doors swing on small hinges, and she missed that small hinge and had to start the action all over again. It's because she did not consult with a lawyer. It is so important that you talk with a lawyer, and there are so many resources that you can get
some free legal advice from. So.
We need to know about
NAN is one. You know, they can call you and get
yeah.
some technical assistance, and
Right.
you can refer them to,
Yeah.
to somebody who could probably give them some good legal advice.
Right.
And then also legal aid, even though you may not qualify for their services, they do have legal clinics around the city.
Okay.
Nashville Bar Association, they still have Dial a Lawyer. I was a volunteer with that when I first started practicing law, and it said on Tuesdays you can call and talk to a lawyer. And then you can also visit TN Justice for All, which is an excellent resource because they do online technical assistance. So you can like type in your question and they'll field it to an attorney, and the attorney will get back with you. And because the administrative office of the courts kind of is the mothership of that, if you don't get a reply, you can call somebody and and hold somebody accountable and say, hey, I haven't heard from anybody. So that's TN Justice for All. And then TALS, that's the Tennessee Association of Lawyers. They actually have, they did, I'm not sure if they still do, I think they still do. They have an 800 number you can call, but you have to leave a message with them and hopefully somebody will call you back. But that TN Justice for All, that has an accountability piece because it's the umbrella of it is the administrative office of the courts.
Oh, okay. Okay. So our time is getting close. So I want you to tell them, you know, when people have, first of all, I want you to know that we want you to come so we could do a workshop. And I'm going to get some more judges to come in so the community can know what this courtroom does, what this courtroom does, how important it is for this or that, or it's just informing the community about going into court.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we're going to do some workshops with you guys.
That is great. I hope you do. We have specialty courts.
Yeah.
Each of our courtrooms has a different function.
Yes.
I encourage you, no matter where you live, where you're watching this, go in your communities and court watch.
Yes.
Hold us accountable. And I'm going to tell you that when Sheryl is in there or I see somebody, I'm on my extra P's and Q's.
Oh, yeah.
And I consider myself all right. I'm not perfect by any stretch, but I'm on my extra P's and Q's when the community is in there. So I want everybody to come and court watch.
Yes.
I want you to hold me accountable. I'm going to try to do my best to correct. I'm always kind of rewinding. What did I did wrong? What can I do better?
Right.
Who do I need to apologize to? Because I'm a human being.
Right.
And one thing that I said when I ran for a judge, I said, I'm perfect for this job because I know how imperfect I am.
Right.
And so I think that's really important as a judge to know that we're not perfect.
Right.
We fall short, and we need to, the same grace that we get, we need to give to others.
Right. Thank you so much. So this is our judge, one of our favorite judge, Robin Kimbrough-Hayes, and we thank her for coming out.